Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I was just sitting down, sort of just thinking about the landscape of the league right now, about 2 weeks into the playoffs. And I was thinking, man, Kevin Durant really kind of embarrassed himself. Got swept by the Celtics and really just wasn't good. Nobody's watching the Bulls-Bucks series, so nobody knows how Giannis is doing. Jokic is on the verge of getting gentleman swept. Embiid has an injury that's really kind of dampering his numbers and his production. And I got to thinking, is Luka Doncic the best player in the playoffs currently? At first, I was like, dude, you're being a little bit biased, man. Why don't you tone it down a few pegs? But then I really got serious, and I determined he might just be the best player in the playoffs right now. If you take away all qualifiers, he's the leading. He leads the postseason in points per game, which is insane to me because he's coming back off an injury on a little bit of a minutes restriction and hasn't really been that great. I mean, he's had his moments, don't get me wrong, and he was fantastic in the second half of game five. But it just doesn't feel like we've had the big Luka moment yet, and he still leads the league, leads the playoffs in points per game. That's utterly bizarre to me. So I decided, you know what? Why don't I go series by series, take a peek. We'll compile a list of the top 5 players who in the playoffs so far. We'll see how Luka stacks up against those guys and whether or not Luka is the best player in the playoffs so far. I went through all of the games. I watched every single game at least 3 to 4 times in the lead up to this video. I scoured all of the databases. I even made my own advanced stat specifically for this video, looking at box score plus minus, usage rate. I think that could tell you a lot about a player's offensive production. Scoring, obviously, the most important part of the game. Shooting numbers, how efficient are they? And yards traveled per game. This one might sound crazy to you, but I think that really shows you how versatile a player is defensively, and that's an incredibly important skill set to have. But then I realized the acronym for this advanced stat was BUSSY. So So just going series by series, let's see how Luka stacks up against some of these guys. Heat Hawks. Do anybody in this series, do they belong in the top 5? I think Jimmy Butler definitely does, right? He's been incredible. He was incredible in that series. He leads the playoffs in PER. And if you guys have been around the NBA community for a long time, PER, everybody loves this stat. Everybody agrees this is probably the best stat in the NBA. I mean, it's literally short for perfect. PR is literally short for perfect because it's the perfect stat. Trae Young embarrassed me in front of my friends and my family. I went out on a ledge and I said Trae Young might have an argument for first team All-NBA this year. He was that good, and then he shit himself on national television. So I'll never make that argument again, Trae, ever again. Suns Pelicans. I think Chris Paul deserves to be in the conversation. He only scored 4 points in Game 4, so that kind of makes it difficult. But he has 60 assists and 6 turnovers in 5 games. I mean, shit's insane. I think Mikal Bridges, honestly, deserves at least an honorable mention. He's been incredible defensively, led the game in scoring in Game 5 for the Suns, so that was impressive. Ayton's been pretty solid. I don't know if he deserves to be in this conversation or not. And you know what? I'll throw Brandon Ingram in there. He's had some really solid performances in this series, so I'll throw him a bone. Grizzlies Timberwolves. This series has just been too much for me. Too much chaos, too much choking going on, too much inconsistency, too many dumb, boneheaded plays. I can't in good faith put anybody from this series in the conversation for top 5 right now in the playoffs. I just cannot do it. Celtics Nets. Well, the Nets, I mean, what is there to say that has been said a trillion times by literally everybody who talks about basketball? So I just won't go on a tangent about them. But the Celtics, yeah, obviously Tatum deserves to be in this conversation, averaging nearly 30 points throughout the series. Really good efficiency, played great defense. The best player on a team that swept a team that some people thought could make a run for the finals. So yeah, obviously Tatum deserves to be in this conversation. And I think that's pretty much it for the Celtics. Bulls Bucks, obviously Giannis. I mean, he's been absolutely dominant. In 3 of the 4 games they played so far, he's had 25 or more points. In 3 of the 4 games, he's had 16, I think, or more rebounds, 7 or more assists in 3 of the 4 games, 2 blocks in 3 of the 4 games. I mean, just dominating the series, both offensively and defensively, doing Giannis stuff. The guy's absolutely incredible. I don't know if I can in good faith give anybody on the Bulls a nod here. DeMar, God. Zach LaVine, no, it's really been disappointing from him. It really has. Vucevic, he kind of sucks, actually, now that we're really seeing him in the light. Drew Holiday, maybe you could throw him in there just because his shooting numbers have been better than they were last postseason, and we know defensively what Drew brings, but I don't know if he's good enough to be really in this conversation. Warriors and Nuggets, obviously, Jokic is in the convo. I know that everybody's shitting on him because he was on the verge of getting swept, and now he might just get gentleman swept, but he's been okay. He's been solid. He hasn't been as bad as some people have made it out to be. He's still, if you take away all qualifiers, he's leading the playoffs and points per game. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, I mean, you just look at this team, guys. You think that this series is the reason why Jokic shouldn't be MVP? You haven't been watching. This Nuggets team is terrible. No offense to them, right? God bless them all. This Nuggets team is awful. Warriors, yeah, sure. Take your pick, man. Steph's coming off the bench, nearly averaging 30 points on absurd efficiency. Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, both shooting 50% from three. I mean, what the fuck's going on? If this is what the Warriors are, if this is who the Warriors are going to be the whole postseason, oh, God, they look unbeatable. And then, yeah, sure, throw Draymond into that list too, but just because of his defense. He has played good defense on Jokic for sure. That game-sealing steal in, what was that, game 3, I think it was. He's been great. Joel Embiid, I don't know if I could put him in here. I know he's had that thumb injury, but it's just been too many performances from Joel Embiid for me to really consider him here in this list. James Harden sucks now, so he's not here. Tyrese Maxey's been okay, but he's not in this conversation. And then for the Raptors, I don't know. Too many ups and downs for them. I don't know if I can put anybody from them in consideration here. And then you have the Mavs and the Jazz series. Does anybody on the Utah Jazz, do they deserve to be in this conversation? Sorry. No, I don't think so. Not at this juncture, no. And then for the Mavericks, obviously you have Luka, who again, in just 2 games played, right, if you just remove all qualifiers, leads the playoffs in points per game, which is insane. You have Jalen Brunson, who leads the entire postseason in points scored. One of only 3 players to score 40 or more points in a game so far up till this point in the playoffs. You have Dorian Finney-Smith, who is top 5 in minutes per game, playing insane defense. I mean, hitting clutch shots. Without Dorian Finney-Smith's defense, on Donovan Mitchell, I don't know where the Mavs are. Reggie Block's also top 5 in minutes per game so far. Playing, again, great defense throughout this series. Without his defense and shooting, hitting big shots from time to time. I don't know where the Mavs are. Again, I don't know where they are. Yeah, I think all those guys deserve to be in the conversation. I think that's fair. So out of all the players mentioned, if I had to pick 5 who I think have been the top 5 so far, have to start with Jimmy Butler. He's been dominant, absolutely shit all over the Heat. Or, I'm sorry, the Hawks. It was embarrassing for everybody to watch, embarrassing stuff. He deserves to be in the top 5, I think. Giannis, obviously, just dominating the series offensively and defensively. That's what Giannis does now. Tatum, I think I'd put Tatum in there as well. 30 points on great efficiency, playing the defense that he plays, the tough shots that he makes, right? His scoring profile fits the playoffs perfectly. I think I feel comfortable making him a top 5 player. Yes, I'm adding Jalen Brunson into the top 5. He leads the playoffs in total points scored. The Mavs are not in this position without him. He's been fantastic. He's going to get a bag. He's in the top 5. And then obviously Luka deserves to be here. Now let's look at all the players I mentioned. Is Luka the best? Yeah. Do I need an argument? No. Why? Because this is my opinion. Go Mavs.